Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 33 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 27. All right, the big news yesterday, the veto competition was held, and the conversations and repercussions that took place afterwards. A lot of stuff revolving around this veto competition. First of all, as a reminder, Ava is the HOH. She had nominated Vince and Zach and Keanu to go onto the block. So we had those four playing in the veto competition. We also had picked to play randomly for the vetoes, Kat and Will. Uh, Keep an eye on those two names because they both had certainly had some presence in this veto competition. So with that being said, feeds cut away. I don't know, around lunchtime or so, Houston time. Uh, Feeds come back mid-afternoon, and we discover that the veto winner for the week is Kat. Kat has won the veto competition. Now, what is she going to do? Is she going to use it and pull someone off yet another week with a veto being used? If she does, is she running a risk that Riley could go up in her place? If she doesn't use it and she keeps the nominations the same, then the question becomes, would Zach potentially use his special power, pay his $10,000 to Ava in order to pull himself off? Or would he feel comfortable enough about his position and his votes that maybe he would take a chance? Those are going to be the big questions going forward. What does Kat do? What will Kat do? And what will Zach potentially do based on Kat's actions? So that's kind of the key results or key questions from the veto competition itself. But let's talk about a lot more about that veto competition because a lot of things came into play. First of all, it's not just, but this veto competition was the white elephant swap. One person gets a prize. Every round, someone's eliminated. One person gets a prize. Next round, that person can either take the existing prize or keep the prize they want. You keep going until you get to the very end. We've got a veto. We've got some rewards. We've got some punishments all mixed in with each other. One of only two veto competitions during my season that I didn't get to compete in, and I still hate it. I would have punishments I could have accepted. Rewards would have been fantastic. Veto would have been great as well, but it didn't work out. One of the two I missed, but that's all right. Let's talk about this season because there certainly were some rewards on this one. As it turns out, not only did Kat get the veto, but we have Ava a winner because she won $5,000. Hey, if Zach uses his 10K to pull himself off the block this week, it could be a $15,000 week for Ava. That's pretty good. Pretty dang good. So Ava wins $5,000. Will won a trip to London. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit. Vince didn't get a reward. Vince got a punishment. Vince is a hard boiled detective. See what they did there. He's going to be dressed like a giant egg. Humpty Dumpty, Vince the Vince the Lip, Humpty Dumpty, extraordinaire, detective. The puns will just be coming all week long. You're gonna get really tired of them. All right, but Vince is a hardboiled detective. Keanu is a butler for the week. We'll talk about their costumes in a second. And Zach has to pick someone who he has to be tethered to for 24 hours. And we'll talk about that in a second. Isn't it interesting, though? The three nominees, the three guys who were picked to go on the block, got the three punishments this week. Sometimes karma and things just work the way they work. So, yeah, we're going to talk about all of that in just seconds. So, some of the events that we have learned for the competition, first of all, as I mentioned, is white elephant competition. It sounds like it involved shooting for points every round, and whoever was the lowest, got the lowest score, would be eliminated each round. It sounds very similar to the Launched in Space veto competition that we did during my season. I mentioned that I didn't get to participate in, where everyone spun around, launched a dart into a scoreboard, eliminated each round till you had one left. That was the veto competition that Jessica won. It allowed Jessica to keep the noms the same of Mickey and Jack. Jack went home. So kind of like the results that season, but sounds like a very similar competition that they had this week. Apparently, Keanu came in second to last, didn't have that good a shot. There was a final tiebreaker between Ava and Will. or I mean, take that back, between Ava and Kat, and Ava apparently way overshot, potentially on purpose, it sounds like. Yeah, I'm not sure Ava really cared that much about winning this competition. But a final tiebreaker between Ava and Kat. Apparently, Kat at that point could have kept the $5,000 prize that I guess came with being the last person there. But instead, she chose to take the veto. And I would assume that veto was held by Ava, since we know that Ava has the $5,000. So Kat chose to take veto over the money. Mad props to Kat for placing gameplay and strategy over the money. I always respect the folks who do that. I know Ava talked about a lot of respect for her doing it as well. So we had that. Zach, as I mentioned, had to be tethered for someone. At first, I heard 8 hours, but I've seen a lot of conversations saying it could be 24 hours. So not sure which direction that is, but Zach had to be tethered to someone, and he happened to be tethered to Rachel. Yeah, Rachel Morgan was probably volunteering at some point, but it didn't happen. Rachel volunteered, raised her hand. Zach picked her. So the two of them had a punishment. We'll talk a little bit, the little we know, because the feeds weren't showing what was going on with the punishment, but we'll talk about that. Now, the thing about that punishment is it's not just that Zach took the punishment, but apparently Zach chose to take that punishment from Will, and gave Will the trip to London instead. So yeah, huge gameplay there from Zach's standpoint. Give him props to Zach as well for placing the game ahead of of everything else. We could have had Zach with a trip to London, which would have meant Will probably having to do the punishment out in the backyard. Who would Will have attached himself to? That could have been fun, but we'll never know because we didn't have to worry about it. Zach doing the strategy of giving Will something good. And as I mentioned, Rachel's the one who volunteered to be attached to Zach. And I think it was just a way for her to stay tighter to Zach, to keep him potentially from being able to have a lot of conversations between now and when the veto ceremony takes place. There's always strategy going on. So those are some of the results, and a lot of that was gained from hearing people talk throughout the evening about the different things. I just kind of consolidated it all right there at the start. All right, let's talk about the live feeds. Again, this is going to be soon after the feeds came back for the animals, and we find out who won the veto competition and all these other punishments and rewards. Let's start off with Rachel talking to Mickey. Rachel, yeah, she's lost Amy. She's lost Jimmy. I think she's actually done a pretty good job of flying under the radar, considering she's Rachel, but still feeling a lot of pressure. She knows Morgan and Mickey and others have talked about wanting her to get to jury, but that's as far as they want her to go. Well, Rachel is talking to Mickey, saying, look, I don't want to see the jury house. That is the last thing I want to do. I either want to go home pre-jury so I can go home to my family and friends and all that, or I'm going to be final two. There's no in between. She says, jury roundtable, I'm fine hosting it. If they want me to host roundtable like Taylor does, like Derek used to, or Dr. Will used to do, fine. But I don't want to be a participant in jury roundtable. It's one or nothing. There's no in between. Well, sometimes you don't get to pick, Rachel, but I understand the sentiment. I actually do. Rachel is saying as well that this season is different from the seasons she played in the past, that there's just no cutthroat gameplay that she's seeing this season, that everyone's playing a little softer than they've played in years past. All right, we've got Will talking to Ava about Zach giving him that trip. Ava and Will are very excited that they won 2 big prizes and that her HOH is going as well as it is. Ava said, I don't care. She can use it or not. I don't care at this point. I'm perfectly fine, however it works. That's what happens when you put 3 different people on the block, that you want all 3 to go home. You don't have to worry about your allies somehow getting blowback. And so Ava's feeling very carefree, very excited about winning $5,000. Will's very excited about Zach having given him that trip. He's saying, look, I owe Zach at this point in time. I think he said something like, I owe him my life or something. That may be going a little far, but he says, I owe Zach. I will never vote for Zach now after what Zach did. This goes well beyond gameplay. This is personal here. Good job, Zach. You figured out how to push Will's buttons just a little bit, and it may help you. It's going to help you a lot over the next few weeks. So Will feeling very indebted at this point in time. Will is saying that Zach could be America's favorite based on doing this. We'll see. We got a lot of games left to play, but Will feeling very gratuitous to Zach right now. All right, Zach has told Morgan and Lauren. This is a little bit right afterwards. Everyone's still kind of, I guess, relaxing after the veto comp, but Zach is down in the storage room. He's talking to Morgan and Lauren and saying, "Hey, Will told me that he's going to convince Kat to use the veto on me because I gave him this trip. He's going to convince Kat to use the veto on me. And then he's going to offer to go up on the block instead as a pawn because he knows he's not going anywhere. And that's his way of paying me back." Now, maybe that was said before the feeds came back. It is certainly a possibility, but will Zach try to convince Kat to use a veto on Zach? Maybe. I guess he maybe could because he knows Ava would be considering Morgan as a renom, and I think Will would probably be okay with that. So maybe that. Will volunteering to go up as a pawn this week, not a chance in the world. I don't believe for a second that Will actually told Zach that. So Zach may be spinning things just a little bit, but Zach has told Lauren and Morgan that Will is feeling so indebted to him that he's going to get the veto to use on Zach and go up on the block himself. Now, that is feeling indebted, and I don't think it's going to happen. All right, we've got Ava and Keanu talking to each other. Ava is saying that telling Keanu that she really respects Keanu's handling of the nomination, that he didn't act upset. You know, they had their little beef where she yelled at him, all that. But beyond that, she said, I respect the way you're handling this. She confirms to him that she is targeting someone else, not Keanu. And not only that, she will not be campaigning to send Keanu home. That's not what she wants. That Keanu needs to know she's not coming after him this week. And Keanu seems to appreciate being told that. All right, we've got Morgan talking to Will, and she's crying. Morgan, we talked yesterday about Zach and Vince each handling being nominated in very different ways based on being an introvert versus an extrovert. Morgan, not on the block, but certainly realizing that first of all, that two of her biggest allies are on the block, and she certainly could get her power knocked down quite a bit, but also realizing that she could be a renom if the veto was used. So Morgan feeling very down. She's talking to Will. She's crying a lot too. She's saying what's really bothering her right now is that she's going to have to tell Vince that she's going to be voting to keep Zach over Vince because it's better for her game. Remember that, because we'll talk about that in a second. But also, why would you have to tell anyone that? There is a chance come Thursday night that Zach or Vince wins the blockbuster comp, and you never have that situation of voting one versus the other. So don't tell someone what you're going to do based on a possibility that's not an actuality yet, because all you're going to do is potentially burn some bridges if you do that. Just promise nothing. Say, I don't know. I'm hoping to God that I don't have to face that vote because I want y'all both saved. Don't tell either one of them that you're voting to save or not save them. But she's saying it's going to kill me. I'm going to have to tell Vince that. It's just not what I want to do. Ava is talking to Will some more. She's saying that she's not going to be mad if Kat uses a veto. Why should she care? She's got a renom that she'd be happy to put up. She may even want to put her up as a renom. She doesn't know yet. She's saying that, in fact, that's what she's saying. She may even let Kat, she's considering telling Kat that, hey, if you want to use a renom, that's fine. I'm not going to put up Riley because I know that's your big concern. I'm not going to put up Riley. And she's saying, I could tell Kat that, and maybe I would then have the ability to put up Morgan as a renom. So yeah, that's okay too. So I'm not too worried about which direction this thing could go this week. She's figuring she's got a successful HOH no matter what happens at this point in time. Now, if Zach was to use his power, if Vince was to win the blockbuster comp, there's still some things that could happen that could throw a wrench into Ava's plans. But for the most part, she's feeling pretty good right now, and she doesn't know about the secret power anyway. All right. Vince has gotten his egg costume. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little insert up here showing what he did. He got his egg costume. It's pretty funny. I consider this one of the worser punishments we've had in years past. House guests who've gotten a little punishment, unitard, going around, not looking too bad. This one, a little bulky. Vince has gotten his egg costume. It's bulky, definitely a punishment, but it is actually also very hilarious as well. Very very big you'll see it. Very big costume. Looks like it would be uncomfortable to wear. He said he's going to have a special one just for swimming. He's got a nighttime egg costume as well, but just not going to be a good week for Vince. He has to carry around a little magnifying glass as well. We actually heard him get called out at one point because he left it behind and has to carry that around everywhere he goes. Pretty funny costume. Still not completely certain. I thought it was a bit of a stretch, the tying in an egg to a mystery house, but hey, whatever. It's a fun costume that he's got. And the other thing, Vince seems, at least for a little while, to have perked up because he's got something to think about other than the fact that he's on the block. So at least to start with, he's got the costume, feeling a little bit better, a little bit of the center of attention for a second, and not because he's on the block. That changed. He started feeling depressed again towards the later in the evening. But at least for now, he's got his egg costume, and we're going to get to watch this thing a lot. Keanu has also gotten his costume. Remember, he is the butler, Butt-Ler. Yeah, give me the sad trombone. Yeah, the puns. Gonna be a crazy week. Keanu's gotten his butler costume. It's a tuxedo with a huge padded rear end on the back and a serving tray that because he's gonna have to serve people all week long, and so the serving tray sits around his waist. He can put all the food on it, but then the rest of the time it has to be spun around, so it's sitting over his big old padded rear end. And he is the butler. He complained at one point, said, "Man, this thing keeps feeling like it's pulling my pants down off of me." So yeah, now the two. I think if it was me, I'd prefer to go with the butler costume than the egg costume. So I think he got off better. I will say this: it would have been fun to see Keanu having to wear that egg costume. They may have had to redo the egg. He may have been the extra large jumbo size egg instead of just a regular old egg. He may have had to squint. You may not have been able to tell how much of a difference being Keanu as strong and muscular as he is anyway. Nothing against Vince, but a little different body styles. But yeah, so he's got the butler costume, and then Vince has the egg costume. All right, not only does he have to wear a costume, but he has to serve people throughout the week, and not just anything. He has to serve them pigs in a blanket, which involves taking out containers of crescent rolls, little Vienna sausages, cooking them in the oven, going around serving them to people morning, noon, and night, whether they're asleep or awake. He is happy. He says, "Hey, at least we got honey mustard in the house because of this." So he's got that. I gotta say, when I'm in the house during my season, Sis had a punishment of dressing up like a chicken and having to cook eggs 101 different ways while she was in the house. I had to teach her how to make deviled eggs and a few of the others that they wanted her to do. I enjoyed it. I was always happy I always got up in time to watch her and cheer her on while she made her eggs, and was always happy to partake once she got done a little bit. But I gotta say, pigs in a blanket, Vienna sausage, crescent rolls. Hey, I would have just been following Keanu around the whole time. That would have been my meal for the week. How horrible to be have not and not be able to take part of that. Have nots are gone. It's the second week in a row. Maybe they're done for the season. But anyway, yeah, Keanu's having to do pigs in a blanket as part of his punishment. And we see him fixing them a few times. Earlier in the evening, again, he was woken up by 3 o'clock or so in the evening to fix these things. He is taking it very seriously. This isn't no Polly Calafuri complaining about having to make things as a punishment. No, this is hard. He's pushing to make these things. Now, he did have some difficulties at first, even figuring out how to get the crescent rolls out of the little round cylinder. I've never seen anyone take the lid off and do it like that, as opposed to cracking. Anyway, he figured it out. He's figuring it out, but treating it very seriously as he makes these pigs in a blanket. He'd be my favorite friend this week. I said it last night, yesterday. I'll say again, Keanu's really kind of growing on me right now. But we've got that. Keanu, let's go back to gameplay. Enough of the punishments on. Let's talk about some gameplay. We've got Keanu and Vince mentioning that Morgan is in the upstairs diary room, that she's not doing well at all. Just as a little FYI, the upstairs diary room, I think ours was the first season that we had it. Downstairs is where the main diary room, that's where they record all of our diary room sessions, talking to the camera and all that. The upstairs diary room is more for medical issues. If you've got prescriptions, if you have any kind of little injury, if you're not feeling well, you go up to the upstairs diary room for that. That's also where you go if you need to talk to a psychologist about anything that's going on. And yes, we had a psychologist on standby as part of the Big Brother season. If you ever felt like you just had to talk to someone and just were getting overwhelmed. So yeah, we watch it as entertainment. It is very stressful in that house, and truly sometimes people need a little extra talking to, just to get through some things. I'm not sure exactly why Morgan is out there, but apparently she's just not feeling well, feeling a little overwhelmed with everything that's been going on. Kind of going in and out of the picture here. All right, we've got Keanu talking about he and Vince being in a rough spot right now. Keanu is suggesting that he would throw the blockbuster to Vince if Keanu knew that he had the votes to stay over Zach. But a little wrinkle in that equation, because he knows that Zach is going to have Will's vote based on Zach giving away that trip. So, don't know necessarily about other people's votes, but Keanu is basically saying, especially knowing that Will is going to vote to save Zach over me, just not sure that I've got the votes to stay. Not sure enough that I would throw that competition to you, Vince. Otherwise, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. But with that going on, just not sure. Just not sure I can do that right now. All right. It sounds, based on that, like Zach or like Vince maybe needs to not just campaign for himself, but maybe start throwing Zach under the bus as well. Talk about why you need to stay for people's games, but also very subtly suggest why Zach staying in would not be good, because there is always a possibility if he can get enough of a target on Zach that it becomes obvious that Zach is going to go out the door at the votes. Maybe then there is a possibility that you can talk Keanu into throwing the blockbuster comp to you. It's a long game plan type thing, but maybe talk good about yourself. And would you turn on your friend like that? That's the danger in that play, but it may be a play that he needs to consider. All right, we had a little frustrating last night. We had the feeds down for several hours in prime time evening, and throughout the evening as well. Just kept cutting away, and I think it has to do with the punishment that Zach and Rachel were doing in the backyard. We'll talk about that some more in a second, but we had the feeds down for several hours as we went through it. I'm looking at my shirt just disappeared every once in a while. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince and later Keanu talking. Morgan is saying that Mickey is working hard to get votes for Vince and against Zach. They're both complaining about Ava apparently getting the HOH this week without really doing anything. That she just kind of fell into it. Apparently, it sounds like maybe Will and Ava were in the final round, and Will got the final answer wrong, and Ava maybe never even had to answer a question correctly based on what they're saying. Remember, it was a knockout round, and no one really probably picked her from round to round until the very end. So, yeah, Ava didn't have to do a lot to get her particular HOH, and they're saying, she just kind of fell into it. Now she's just treating us like she is the queen, and she didn't have one-on-one. She's just getting a little self-centered about her HOH at this point. So they're not real happy with Ava at all. They're complaining that not only that she said that no one could drink her wine, not to touch her wine, that no one could use her bathroom or her shower, that Ava just let it all go to her head, so to speak. They're complaining as well about her not doing one-on-ones, that they never had a chance to give her any kind of input, that she just talked to a few people and made her decision and didn't even care what they had to say. They're talking a little bit about the veto competition. Vince is saying that he begged Kat to take the $5,000 instead of the veto because he was trying to tell her no one is going to put you up at this point in time. It may be more she was worried about Riley getting put up as well that led her to that decision, or just a perception of choosing money over safety. Sometimes you don't want money because it can put a target on your back. But Vince is saying, I begged her to take the $5,000. She didn't do it. Vince is saying that Rachel really wants to split up Morgan and Vince and Zach at this point in time. Morgan is saying that she understands and that she probably doesn't disagree with that. Morgan's saying she isn't on the block right now, but she's watching Ava and she's nervous. She knows that she could be the renom if the veto is used this week. If the veto isn't used this week, that's going to be the first week this season. But she's worried if it is used that she could be the renom, and she will be. I don't think there's any question about that right now. Morgan thinks that she's a renom if it's used, is correct, but Vince says that he's pretty sure everyone's going to pressure Kat not to use it, and I think that's true. I don't think she'll use it. Riley told someone, and I can't remember if it was Ava or someone else during the evening. He said she's not going to use it. She's decided she's not going to use it. I don't see Kat doing it. Ava can talk about wanting to renom Morgan and all that, but I think she probably is fine with the one she's got up there, so she won't pressure Kat to use it. I think we've got our nominees for the week, but they're talking about that. Let's see. They're wondering why why Zach and Vince were nominated, but not Morgan. Saying, if they want to split us up, why not put the three of us up? Why was it just Vince and Zach and not you, Morgan? And she said, well, I think, it's probably just because the other side thought that I would benefit the women's games more than you two guys do. So, I may have gotten protected a little bit just because of that. But she knows she's still vulnerable right now in this game as well. All right, Morgan is saying that if she does win HOH next week, that she's putting up Lauren and Riley and Kat. She already knows who she's going to put up. No need for one-on-ones with her either. She's going to put up Lauren and Riley and Kat. And she's saying, and maybe I'll put up Ava instead of Kat. I'm not certain. We'll see how Ava. She's not on my good list right now either. But right now, probably Lauren. And if I'm going to put Kat up, I might as well put Riley up as well because I'll have made my enemy anyway. And Vince is confirming that, saying, yeah, just be aware if you put Kat up, whether you put Riley up or not, Riley's not going to be happy with it. So just be prepared if you want to go that direction. We've got Will talking to Keanu. Keanu's kind of pitching for his vote potentially, but I think he understands the situation with Will and Zach as well, with Will and Zach as well. And Will is telling Keanu, said, look, I'm in a really tough spot. I want to support you. I truly do. But after Zach gave me that trip, I'm going to have to vote to save Zach if it comes down to it. As much as I like you, Keanu, I can't go against that. Keanu's saying, that's fine. I understand completely, man. But Will does say, if Zach is off the block, if veto is used or he wins Blockbuster, if Zach is off the block, then I'll support you, Keanu. Zach's the only thing standing between me supporting you or not. So, it is what it is, Keanu, and Keanu's understanding that as well. All right, we've got Kelly talking to Keanu. Kelly's telling Keanu that he has her vote. And she says, I'm going to vote to save you, right? And she says, I think you probably have Morgan's vote too. I don't see that. I say it. Morgan wants Keanu out, but at the same time, I also think Morgan will be perfectly. Morgan is not going to want to vote out Vince or Zach. So for Kelly to say that Keanu probably has Morgan's vote, I'm just not buying it. I think Morgan is voting Keanu out if he's on the block right there. But Kelly's saying it. You got my vote. You probably have Morgan's. And she says, I'm going to tell Vince that he has my vote. But just so you know, he doesn't. I'm lying to him. I want to preserve my game with him and all of that. And I don't want to make it look like we're too close to one another. So I'm going to tell Vince that he's got my vote, but he doesn't. I got your back. She says, from day one, I've had your back, Keanu. And Keanu said, I've had yours as well. They're basically saying that they have to pretend not to have each other's backs. They can't be viewed as being too close to each other. But the reality is they're going to be watching out for each other. People know these two are close. The two perpetual block nominees. We've already heard Kelly referred to as the female Keanu a couple of times, but they're saying let's try not to make it any more obvious than it already is. All right, we got Keanu talking to about who could be in Ava's ear. I think he was talking to Vince at this point, but Keanu's talking about who's in Ava's ear. Is it Rachel? Is it Mickey? Who is the one making these decisions this week? Because I can't believe it'd be Ava. Keanu's thinking that it's probably Mickey, and he's not on good terms with Mickey. He's saying she's a liar. She lied to me. She tested me. I'm not even sure what all he's referencing at this point, but he's not happy with Mickey, and he's blaming her for being in Ava's ear to help make these decisions. All right, after Keanu leaves, Vince is, I guess it was with Morgan as well that was there. So Vince and Morgan and Keanu, Keanu says that too. After Keanu leaves, Vince talks about how close Rachel and Keanu are. That, yeah, they've had their head butting here and there. We saw some arguments already. He says, but they're still close. They're still trying to work together. They've hashed things out yet again. Morgan is thinking about that. She says, look, Keanu just talked about how Mickey's a liar and this and that. She says, if we were to tell Mickey about Keanu being so against Mickey, would that help drive Mickey to support you or Zach and go against Keanu instead of potentially having her trying to get one of you out? And Vince saying, yeah, it's worth a shot. Yeah, why not? Let's maybe spill the beans and try to drive a little wedge between Mickey and Keanu in preparation for a vote come Thursday. So they're trying to come up with some strategies here. All right, we've got Riley telling Keanu that Keanu has his vote against Zach or Vince. He said, it doesn't matter who you're up against, Keanu. If you're on the block come Thursday night, I will be voting to save you. And he says, and not only that, Keanu, you'll be staying. You're not going to go home over either one of these two guys. Keanu is suggesting that he would love to have Kat maybe use her veto if she is so inclined. He says, if she does, Riley, you're not going up. It's going to be Morgan that goes up. So Kat would be safe using that veto if she wants to. So just kind of putting that in Riley's ear just in case. Keanu is also complaining about Mickey. Again, he was doing it earlier. Now he's complaining to Mickey, to Riley. Riley is in turn complaining about Ashley to Keanu. They both have their least favorite people on the other side. Keanu is saying that he's pretty sure he's got 5 votes to stay right now if it comes down to a vote. That he's got Riley's vote, he's got Kat's vote, he's got Kelly's vote, he's got Mickey's vote, he's got Ashley's vote, and he mentions Will's vote. Well, he just heard that Will said, I'm not voting for you over Zach, but he's still counting Will's vote potentially. Riley is saying that Morgan, he's a little bit worried about her, that Morgan is playing way too hard right now and is paranoid. Well, again, he just heard Keanu say that Morgan would be the renom, so that may be why she's a little paranoid and playing so hard right now. All right, we've got Morgan and Mickey and Ashley and Ava talking. Morgan is saying that Rachel and Zach can't quite follow this because we don't know what's happening in the backyard. That's so frustrating. The feeds would not go to the backyard to watch Zach and Rachel's punishment taking place. But the 4 of them are talking. Morgan is saying that Rachel and Zach have 1 bag left for their task. There's 10 more bags on the ground. I wish I knew what was going on. I know we'll see it eventually on the TV episodes, but feeds are keeping way too much of these competitions away from us. I think with the extra unlocked Friday night episodes, there's just that much more content they're trying to protect and keep secret. I wish they didn't do it. We want to see what's happening in the backyard, guys. But Morgan's talking about something about the task that they have a certain amount left. Ava says, I think it was designed to last until sunrise kind of situation. Again, we didn't get to see any of the tasks taking place in the backyard. If they ever cut cameras to the back, I didn't see it. I'm pretty sure they didn't. Even when all the house guests were outside and we were faced with looking at an empty kitchen, they still kept on the empty kitchen before going out in the backyard. We could hear house guests yelling. At one point, we had, I think, Riley come in complaining that he'd gotten stuff on his shirt, pants, and his jeans. Someone else, I can't remember who, came in complaining they had some gloop on them. So not sure what the competition was, and we'll have to find out later. But apparently there was going to be some grease and slime involved and a lot of tasks between these two having to do something with bags on the ground. All right, we've got Ashley and Mickey talking to each other. Mickey is thinking that Ashley wants Vince out and will nominate him if he wins HOH and Vince is still there. Mickey wants... Oh, I don't know. Mickey thinks I've got Ruthie. Apparently my spell check is kicking in. Wants Vince out and is nominating him if he wins HOH and Vince is still there. Ashley wants HOH so she can put Lauren on the block. And then Vince goes up also. Those are 2 of her picks. That would be Lauren and Vince that Ashley wants to go after. Ashley is wanting the HOH. Ashley says, I want the HOH so I can get more showtime. I feel like I had a lot of plot in my first week when I was on the block and all, but now I want to be HOH so I can get more showtime as well, because I don't feel like I'm necessarily getting a lot of TV time. I can't say that I ever wanted to be on the block or HOH because of TV time during my season. I wanted to stay off the block because of the risk. I wanted to be HOH for the power, but she's thinking about the showtime and getting a lot of TV exposure. Mickey is saying that Kat or Lauren need to go next week, and then the other one needs to go the following week. Those are the 2 that she absolutely wants out of this house. There's more talk about who they do or don't want in jury. Ashley is telling as well, and whether it's 7 or 9 jury this season, I hope it's 9. I truly hope it's 9. Ashley is telling Michie that she's sitting, that if she is sitting next to Ashley or Kat in the final 2, she wins. In other words, hey, don't get rid of me too soon, Michie, because if you're up again next to me in the final 2 chairs, you're winning this thing. There's no way I'm going to win this season at this point. So keep that in mind when it comes to sending people out of the house over the next few weeks. So she's saying you're going to win against me, Michie. Michie is thinking that keeping Vince over Morgan this week makes more sense because they can beat Vince in competitions, and because Zach is better connected to Lauren and better connected to Lauren and Morgan. I think Michie was saying that she thought that Rachel would want Vince out and would nominate him if she won HOH. I think that's where I was going with my spell check earlier. All right, but anyway, she's saying, well, it makes more sense to go ahead and get Vince out this week. It makes more sense keeping Vince since Zach is a better athlete and better connected to Lauren and Morgan. All right, Michie is also saying that she has convinced Riley to vote out Zach if it comes down to it. Well, we know Riley has promised his vote to Keanu if he's still on the block come the vote Thursday night. All right, they're saying that Kat isn't going to use the veto, which I absolutely believe is the case. Ashley is complaining that Ashley's saying, in addition to wanting a little more TV time, she's saying, you know what, this just isn't my cast. These are not people that I would interact with in real life, that I would want to be friends with in real life. That was one of my favorite parts about Big Brother, was getting to hang and compete with 15 people that otherwise I probably would have never been exposed to in the real world. But Ashley's wishing she had more similar minded folks in the house and feeling a little isolated because of it. So she's just wishing there were some other folks in the house. All right, Keanu. What time is it? 3:00 or so in the morning. Keanu's up in the middle of the night cooking more pigs in the blanket. At one point, Morgan says, hey, if you need to wake me up to serve me some pigs in a blanket, go for it. I don't have any problem with it. You may not want to wake Ashley up, though. She may not be as appreciative of it. At one point, Keanu has to go serve. I think he was told to go serve to the sleeping house guest, or at least to Riley. So he has to wake Riley up, and Riley's fine with it. Punishments. Hey, serving pigs in a blanket to someone asleep, a lot easier than me having to put a pie in Tommy Bracco's face in the middle of the night while he was sound asleep. Talking about punishments, and not mine at that point. All right, we've got Vince telling Morgan around 3:30 or so that Zach and Rachel are over the task. I thought maybe the task was done when he first said it, but no, just means they're fed up with the task. They're getting tired of it. They were trying to take a little break, get a little bit of sleep, but the task was not done at that point. Morgan is saying that he has her and Mickey's vote when it comes down to it. Vince not doing well. He did all right for a while with his egg costume and all. Now he's starting to have a little more breakdown, some tears while he's talking to Morgan. She's trying to calm him down, saying, look, you got my vote. You got Mickey's vote. You should be okay. Not sure he really has their votes or not. We'll find out. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince talking some more. Morgan is upset that the Zach would keep Lauren over her. She realizes Zach kind of has Morgan and Lauren that he's talking to, and she's upset that she says, I know when it came down to it, if he had to send one of us home, he'd send me home over Lauren. She's saying that it doesn't make sense because he would do that even while he is outside doing his punishment. She's inside. She's fighting to save Zach and Vince. And what's Lauren doing? Lauren's in bed sleeping. Lauren doesn't care about it. Lauren's not going to fight for Zach, not the way that Morgan's willing to do it. And yet, even with that, she knows that Zach would still choose Lauren over herself. So she's not feeling it at all with that particular thought in mind. Morgan is saying that Mickey is trying to keep Vince here over Zach. So again, trying to calm Vince down a little bit about his future in this game, perhaps. But Vince is saying, well, maybe she is fighting for votes, but she's not going to be able to convince Rachel. Rachel is not going to be convinced to keep me over Zach, and Rachel has a lot of influence in this house, and I just don't know that it's going to happen, regardless of what you or Mickey may do on my benefit. I'm just not sure I'm going to be able to get the votes. Early evening, he tried to count the votes, and I think he only thought he had 3 or 4 votes at most. Vince thinks that with Amy and Jimmy gone, that Rachel is probably at this point teaming up with Ava and Ashley and Will and Mickey. Yeah, basically so. And he calls Ashley and Ava and Will the floaters this season. He says it's the 3 of them teamed up with Mickey, who's kind of the power broker in the house right now. And I think that now that's who Rachel's with. And so if Rachel wants me out, she's probably gonna get them to all vote me out as well. So not looking good for old Vince the Lip. Why do I keep saying Lip? Not so good for Vince the Lip or Vince the Egg Detective. Either one right now. All right, punishment finally done. Right about the time the sun's probably rising, sunrise. Punishment's done for Rachel and Zach around 6 o'clock or so in the morning, Big Brother time. They're in showering and congratulating each other. And we still don't know what the task was, but didn't get to see it. But they're done with the task. So I guess they're still going to be tethered together for a while longer, but they're through with the punishment part of their punishment, part of the punishment, the task part of the punishment. Meanwhile, we've got Vince finally gets the chance to take off his old heavy, bulky costume. He now has his nighttime egg costume. It looks like kind of a onesie, a nightgown, sort of in the shape of a cloth egg, I suppose, with a little egg-shaped beanie on the top. Very casual, comfortable, sleeping in bed kind of outfit. So enjoy your time away from the egg, Vince, because it does look uncomfortable, incredibly uncomfortable. So he's got his nighttime wear. And with that, everyone in bed by, I don't know, 8:30 or so, Big Brother time. There was talk about hopefully everyone getting a chance to meditate today. That's just their word for sleeping, since everyone was up cheering on most people up. Lauren, maybe not so much, a few others not so much, but so many people up cheering on from the outside, and Keanu having to make pigs in a blanket and everything. Hope Keanu has a whole lot of pigs in a blanket ready for everyone come breakfast time. We shall see. And with that, guys, we're going to call it a day. So again, the main questions, I think, will Kat use her veto or not? I don't think so. Will Zach use his secret power or not to pull himself off the block? Don't know. Maybe he won't. It depends on who is in Zach's ear right now and convincing him he does or does not have the votes. We'll find out about that. So the 2 of those, and then just the repercussions and watching everyone have to fight through these punishments and everything else. It was a fun day yesterday, game talk wise, and just the crazy stuff that happens in the Big Brother house. All right, we'll call it good, guys. Have a good Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow to give y'all an update, talk about whatever happens before we have the veto ceremony itself. Until then, enjoy your Sunday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.